you realize that the auditor is only addressing the response by the client to the recommendations of the committee. But Chair, remember, previously this committee has ruled that in as much as the client is addressing the recommendations of the committee, they must also address the audit issues to satisfy the committee that the issue now does not recur again. So, Chair, continuing the discussion then will prejudice the client because the client then was not prepared and had not given the auditor the document. I believe, Chair, they may be given another opportunity, with your permission, Chair. Because Governor, those issues may not be addressed in the subsequent audit, as it were. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, what the auditor is saying is that if we recommended administrative action for not providing documents and giving explanations, if you administered that administrative action, still the query has not been addressed. And in fact, we'll be doing two things in this meeting. Number one, showing us and proving to us that administrative action for that any malfeasance was undertaken. But then number two, we must also be sure through engagement with the auditor that the audit query was addressed or not. So we'll be doing two things. Now, if you're just looking at the recommendations only of the committee, still the audit queries would subsist, they would not be cleared. Governor.
Thank you, Chair. Now, at the risk of going back, and I have understood and I understand that we cannot really meaningfully proceed until we go back and meet the Auditor General. I just want to clarify that during the previous audit, issues were cleared. So if you read the audit, the issues, if you look at the answer, but there were certain issues they said, even if the issue was cleared, take administrative action. So we cannot go back to that issue again because it was cleared if you go to the Hansard report. However, if an issue was not cleared, then that issue remains to be addressed as a recommendation substantively. So we cannot start again from the very beginning because some issues, most of the issues were cleared apart from very few. Having said that, I think I was trying to remember whether the auditor was here, this specific auditor, or it's a different one. I think because of institutional memory of what was and what was not, we will revert back to the auditors because they haven't actually finished this year's audit and they need to still do the exit meeting from what I'm informed, what the senior auditor is referring to, what they've done in another county. And once that is done, then we will resubmit the report to the Senate. I think that's the only meaningful way to move
Let me say what I know. That you might not have provided the documents during the time of audit. But when we come here, we give you a second bite at the cherry. That okay, you might not have provided the documents during the time of audit to answer to the audit report. Something that really offends us. Because then you have management letter, exit report. You have not answered to the queries. So when we call you here, we invite you to try and answer to the queries that you did not answer during the time of audit. We have given you a second bite at the cherry. And if you are not able to answer during our first meeting, then we say in 7 days, in 1 month, in 2 months, please provide these documents to the auditor to see if then the auditor would be satisfied. But you have not done that. So it means that audit that was not cleared in the first engagement cannot be cleared if you have not provided the document subsequently to the auditor. It is just giving you a second bite at the cherry. And we are saying this, if it is true or it is lawful to provide the documents during the time of audit in accordance to Public Audit Act 62(2), and you didn't provide, and then we just adopted this report of the auditor without calling the entity, then ours is just to sit down and prescribe the recommendations to ESCC and to DCI to do investigations and then prescribe or recommend to the ODPP so that these people are taken to court. But then we give you a second bite at the cherry And that's why you appear here and say, please, the documents that were not provided, provide them to the auditor. And then we get a second engagement to see.
Chair.
Just a minute, I'll give you the opportunity. I'll give you the opportunity, Governor. Just put off the mic, yes. So this second instance that you're supposed to give the documents to the auditor, you didn't provide them. And so then we might not continue with meaningful engagement. Governor. Yes, Governor.
Nothing, Chair. Thanks.
Yes, so it means it's clear. Yes, Auditor.
Before the director speaks, because this document has not gone to the auditor, the permission, Chair, and because Senate has received their copy, maybe you can request the auditor to go back and look at this document again. Looking at the document that's face value, Chair, is well referenced, and there is evidence here. Maybe the auditor can be given an opportunity 7 days to look at the information, then be allowed to come to do a brief and come back to the committee. That will help the client to be able now to appear before you properly. Thank you, Chairman.
Any member wants to input before I rule? Auditor, Director?
Chair, before the auditor comes in, Muriuki, what you're saying is okay, but you also know that we have issues with scheduling, you know? We have issues with scheduling. And there's an audit that is actually supposed to be completed by the 31st of December. And very soon after that, we get engaged with that, you know? So the prayer you're making is okay. I'm just wondering, how do you even do it? How do you, because that would mean that the county government of Kirinyaga will appear before us that time on the same audit report. I don't know.
Let me say this. In my previous life as a teacher, there's a theory by Professor Lev Vygotsky that indicates that whatever you get from books is information. Whatever you get from colleagues and every other person in a discussion is information. But whatever then remains in your mind is called knowledge. Now, we are new in this because previously we were doing it just once. That there is a query, we have our prosecutor, the auditors, then there's the governor, and we do our report. Now it's different. We must engage first. We look at the certificate by the auditor, and then we do some recommendations for implementation. Then we try to see if those recommendations have been implemented. This is the way to go now and in the future. We are negotiating this. We are negotiating this because knowledge is negotiated. It's not a preserve of anybody. And that's why people say that the law is clear, but the law has never been clear. If it was clear, then you cannot have a ruling at the lower court and the appellate court, that ruling is overturned. Why? Because there is nothing as unclear as the law. So this is where we are, Governor, that when we engage in the first instance, these audit queries are not cleared. They're never cleared. They will be cleared when the auditor is satisfied that our recommendations have been implemented and the necessary questions that were still obtaining or remaining unanswered have been answered. Then we do our report and say these issues now have been resolved. But as it is now, the issues that were not resolved in the first instance have not been resolved. Now, as a way forward, Senator Wambua, because I'm seeing we don't have time, these issues that are not resolved, that are not marked as addressed by the auditor, and we have them in this brief, we can just let them stay so that they appear as substantive issues in the upcoming report, which would give us by 31st of December as a statutory timeline, and then we look at them in the subsequent report. And they should appear because we've ruled here before as issues, not just indicating prior year matters. Let them be as paragraphs because then they have not been resolved. And we look at them at that point. But when we are doing our report I know that some will be able to resolve. However, as Muriku is saying, if you are able to engage the auditor, because we will be with the auditor when we are writing our final report, if you're able to engage the auditor before we write our report, then some of them would be resolved at that level when we are doing our reports.
Thank you, Chair. I
Yes,
think
yes,
you have
Auditor.
guided well, because as we speak now as an office, we have decided when we are bring the report, the current report now, we'll itemize the issues not resolved by the committee and the Senate. So it's already taken care, and all our reports will be highlighting the issues which were not resolved, so that we don't, and that is a direction from the office as a policy, so the issues will not get. And that is why, Chair, as we speak, maybe the second level is, you saw when I was giving my briefs on your recommendation, there were almost 38 recommendations, and only 8 had been addressed, so you can be able to see. Because what we were given in the office, actually what I got is, they were not reference to the documents. They were just a provision, and I gave that the auditor was in charge, and he looked at them, so he had not seen the evidence. And I think maybe probably because of your main was to send to the Senate. That is why the whole confusion came about. Otherwise, the documents were supposed to be provided for audit for us to be able to verify. And the team was ready to verify the documents. Thank you.
Thank you for that input. I think it would give us a way forward. Members, I think it's not tenable to go on with this meeting. Ordinarily, we would have closing remarks. We can donate our time to who? Senator Spooner, want to say something? Okay. Senator Mugen, Senior Counsel? Nothing. Governor, you want to put something as a closing remark?
Thank you, Chair. We will send the documents to and engage the Auditor General. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Members, our meeting will be adjourned shortly after we leave the governor to leave, and then we'll do some A or B that was given by the Secretariat so that we finish up our meeting. Governor, you now may leave with your team. The rest of the members and the auditors also, the AOB might not concern you, so that we do something a bit in-house. Then we conclude our meeting. Thank you, Governor, for coming. It's always good to see you here. And I must commend you that anytime you are required by the Senate, you've been coming. So just keep it up, and they would engage between January and March.
Can I see of the governor?
What do you want to see of the governor?
She's my neighbor.
Now you can't request in the middle of a meeting.
No, she's my neighbor.
You can't ask that one in
I
the
want to
middle of
see
an
of the governor.
accountability meeting.
She's my neighbor. I have
In
no,
the middle of an accountability meeting, you can't ask that. Just go. Yeah. Yes. You don't need to ask for permission to see off the governor, but for us, we don't. Yeah. Thank you so much, Governor. Just the members remain a bit.